11 Best Places to Live in Alaska. Tucked away in the northwest of the world lies Alaska. Bordering Canada, Alaska is both the largest and most sparsely populated of all the 50 states. Icy cold in winter and hardly much warmer in the summer, Alaska is famed for its diverse and beautiful landscapes. Characterized by acres of open grasslands encompassed by mountains and dotted with dense forest, Alaska is quite the wilderness. The state is loved by outdoorsy folk the world over, countless hiking trails as well as some of the best mountain biking tracks on Earth. You'll be fit before you know it was living around here. Kenai Lake, Iliamna Lake, and Skullik Lake are just some of the gorgeous kayaking spots to explore. With over 3,000 officially named natural lakes in the state, you could spend a lifetime hopping from lake to lake and still only scratch the surface. Breathtaking scenery, true wildernesses, and grizzly bears are all part of the deal when it comes to living in Alaska. Here are the 11 best places to live in Alaska. Number 11. Kalifornsky. It seems to be that the bulk of the properties on the market are in the north side of Kalifornsky, near Soldotna. Not necessarily a bad thing when you think about all the great aspects of the Soldotna area. There are not a lot of properties available to rent around here. With 78% of residents living in owned homes, it is tricky to become a tenant around here. With median rent at $1,141 a month, it's not the best idea either, when there is better value for money within a 25 kilometers radius. Schools in Kalifornsky are consistently above average, and with 14 public schools available for around 2,000 children, parents are spoiled for choice. Number 10. Palmer. Sliding in an admirable 10th best place to live in Alaska is Palmer. Tucked beneath a bend in the Matanuska River, Chugach State Park is just a stone's throw away and can provide weekend after weekend of wild adventures. Palmer has been named as the second best place for millennials in Alaska. House prices here are some of the most reasonable in the state, and with median rent being bang on the national average of $920 a month, there are few reasons not to love Palmer. The community feel is extended by the small businesses that line the high street, keep it local, and pop by for lunch on the go or perhaps a coffee of a morning. Number 9. Anchorage. If you were to ask someone on the street to name a city in Alaska, it would be a safe bet to put money on their answer being Anchorage. Encompassed by the Kenai Fjords National Park and the Chugach National Forest, there are so many opportunities to explore from Anchorage. With a population of just under 300,000 people, Anchorage is the most populated city in Alaska but still, proudly, retains its tight-knit community vibe. Because the city is so spread out, the area doesn't feel overpopulated by any stretch of the imagination. Locals often joke that it's a massive village. Brace yourself for the cold winters, though. Number 8. Kenai. Southwest of Anchorage is Kenai, right on the coast. This picturesque city is famed the world over for its salmon fishing. Real estate is more desirable around here, with median rent below the national average at $900 a month. If you are looking to rent in Kenai. Kenai Municipal Airport flies daily, weather permitting, to Anchorage, where you can connect to international flights and to mainland USA. Ranking well within the top 10 best places to buy a house, raise a family, and with access to some of the best public schools in the state, there is only one real downside to Kenai. That downside is the crime levels. A phase of motor vehicle thefts and home burglaries have skewed the crime statistics somewhat. Locals, on the other hand, consider Kenai a happy, safe, and peaceful place to live. Number 7. Juneau. It is not uncommon to find the state capital missing out on a place in the top 5 best places to live, and Juneau, Alaska is no exception. With a population of 32,000 people, we have definitely ventured back into the city limits. For parents looking to find a new home in Alaska, Juneau should be high on your consideration list, for it offers the best public schools in the state. Locals recall that the rich and thriving native culture is one of the most enjoyable things about living here. In addition, Access to the Tongass National Park is a major selling point too. How lovely would it be to be able to take your family out into a wintry jungle of a weekend? Alaska is a massive outdoor classroom. Number 6. Soldotna. Directly below the neighborhood of Ridgway is Soldotna, the neighbors to the community, shall we say. Again on the Kenai Peninsula, this town also boasts the Soldotna Creek Park, the perfect place for bird watching or a weekend picnic. Crime levels in Soldotna are well below the national average, making this town perfect for families. Add into the mix great public schools, reasonable job opportunities, and lots of social activities too. There is little to find fault within Soldotna. Locals note the positive and wholesome fun events as one of their reasons they love living here. Access to the great Alaskan outdoors is another major plus point. Although much of the population are nearing retirement, thanks to the Kenai Peninsula College campus, the area is becoming somewhat more diverse, the most diverse place to live in Alaska, in fact. Number 5. Ridgway. On the Kenai Peninsula, Ridgway's small and cozy community are very much country folk. Lake Kenai is beyond picturesque on a sunny day. Moving here would be the perfect excuse to invest in some camping gear and kayaks too. House prices here are some of the most punchy in the state, but when there are lakeside views and woodlands to explore, you can explain the price tag. That said, $385,000 can get you a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom home with an expansive garden to match. On that note, it won't come as a surprise that Ridgway is ranked as the best place to buy a house in Alaska. There are some great schools in Ridgway, and with a population of just 2,195, there isn't too much competition for places for your little. Number 4. Sitka. Sharing a major section of its perimeter with British Columbia, Sitka is spread over several small islands, namely Brinof Island and part of Chichagof Island. The Sitka National Park is a must-visit for anyone who visits Alaska. This beautiful parkland is booted with totem poles marking the victory of the indigenous Tlingit people over Russia in 1867. Sitka is a really interesting place to live in terms of its rich history, but it is the quality of the public schools and the family feel of the place that is the real attraction for people looking to live here. Renting in Sitka is steep. At just over $1,000 a month, this is not the place to come if you are looking to save to get on the property ladder. Sitka is proud to be the safest place to live in Alaska. Couple this with the fact that this neighborhood offers some of the best schools in the state, this is a great place to grow your family. Number 3. Esther. Sharing a border with College, Esther is placed as a strong third best place to live in Alaska. With just 3,008 residents, despite the proximity to Fairbanks, this neighborhood falls, undoubtedly, in the rural category. Despite the rural nature of the town, there is a distinct lack of outdoor activities, and as such, Esther is not considered one of the most popular places to raise a family in Alaska. There is, however, strong community pride in gardening, so if you choose to relocate to Esther, you better find your green fingers pretty quickly. It is worth mentioning that Esther is officially the second best place to buy a house in Alaska. Understandably so, given that median home values in Esther are $193,300, just $14,700 above the national median. Number 2. Gateway. Found in the borough of Matanuska-Susitna, Gateway is in fact considered part of Anchorage despite being a 45-minute drive north of the city center. Just 5,610 people call Gateway home, and as such, there is very much a village, rural feel to this part of the state. With median home values at $271,300, this is way above the national average but in keeping with property prices across Alaska. Cost of living here would be a factor to consider, but with plenty of decent jobs up for grabs, these two factors balance each other out somewhat. To top it off, all of the public schools in the top 10 schools in Gateway can proudly boast a solid B rating. This, teamed with the low crime rates, would explain why Gateway has been voted as the best place to raise a family in Alaska. Number 1. College. Who would have thought that a small suburb of Fairbanks would be the best place to live in Alaska? Coming in at number 1 is College, UC. With a population of 14,675, College is far from the most densely populated area of Alaska. There is little to complain about when it comes to the daily commute if you live in College. Although there are a reasonable amount of job opportunities around here, many people venture into Fairbanks itself to earn their living. College is ideally located on Route 3 that takes you south, almost directly, to Anchorage. Residents note that, despite being in Alaska, College doesn't offer access to the full range of outdoor activities as you would expect. Something that can indeed be let to slide in the best place to live in Alaska.